Okay, so we're ready to put some fish in this aquarium. The ammonia is 0, the nitrite is basically 0, the pH is alkaline, and the KH is about 3. In a new tank, I actually like the KH to be lower, because if the KH is higher, then the pH will tend to stay higher, and that will make the ammonia more toxic if it comes. So I like a low KH to start with. The temperature in this tank is currently 25.9, and my water is just over 24. And introducing fish from slightly colder water into slightly warmer water is not of my concern. If you're going colder, I'm always more worried than if you're going warmer. So I'm right to put these fish in now. We're going to try to make sure these fish are not fed at all for the next couple of days. And then after that, we want to feed them very, very, very lightly. And if we're worried about the fish at all, we want to test the water. And then if we find there's any ammonia or nitrite, while we're waiting for the good bacteria to grow, because what's going to happen is the fish are going to produce waste in the form of ammonia, and then the ammonia will build up. Then bacteria will grow in the filters, and the bacteria will break the ammonia into nitrite. Then more bacteria will grow in the filters, and then the nitrite will get broken down into nitrate, and then the nitrate, we can do water changes to get rid of that later on. So if we do get any ammonia or nitrite, we need to detoxify the ammonia or nitrite. And if you put, say, a teaspoon of this into this tank every day or every couple of days, that'll bind up the ammonia and nitrite so the fish don't even know it's there, and then it will detoxify it. Good job, bud.
First one. Oh, look at it. Should I put the second one in?
Yeah, go for it, James.
I'm putting the catfish in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he just goes around cleaning all the algae off.
Yes.
And with white rocks, they look nice now. Then generally, after a little while, they'll look, when they start going a little bit brown or a little bit green, for a little while they look crappy, but then just leave them alone and then they look really good and natural again. So don't stress if the rock's changing color, because when it first starts changing color, it doesn't really look all that good. But if you leave it, it does actually end up looking really good, because it won't stay white, because nothing stays white in nature. Okay, put the others in, bud.
Can I put them both in at once?
Yeah. So they're called convicts.
What does cichlids look like?
Well, cichlids is a family of fish,
Are those
and
ones?
these fellas here are all cichlids.
Oh.
They're little convict
So
cichlids.
this is a cichlid.
Well, it's a mixed tank, but yeah, it'll be a partially cichlid tank. So with cichlids, when they're young, they tend to not be very colourful, or if they're stressed, they will tend not to be very colourful. Then as they settle in and as they get more mature, they become very, very colourful. So some of the most amazing looking fish are literally silver as a baby, and then will grow up into absolutely spectacular looking adults, because the baby fish don't want to stand out too much because they don't want to get eaten. And then as the fish get bigger and smarter and more able to survive, then they bring all their beautiful colours to start trying to attract females. Now when you first put a fish in a tank, it's not unusual for them to squabble a little bit, and what that's doing is setting their hierarchy. For example, this fish here is the Venustus, and I'm really hoping that the Venustus will be the dominant fish in this tank, because in general, Venustus are very good bosses. So what he should do is really occupy the middle of the tank. He should give the fish a little bit of a chase, but not hurt anybody. If he's doing that, then he's a good boss. If he's picking on individuals and fighting, then he's not such a good boss. Now we've also added some loach in the tank, like that fella there. Now loach have got the little things at the front. I've had a mind blank. And they're good for scavenging. They run around and just look for crap to eat. And then we've just got other catfish that are sucker mouth catfish, and they're good for cleaning the algae. But what we've got to be aware of right now is anytime you're adding fish to a new tank, the thing you've got to watch for is white spot. And if the fish get white spot, what you'll do is see them flicking and scratching. If they just do it once here and once there, I'm not worried about it. But if they're doing it too commonly, then it can be white spot. Now, white spot is very, very easy to treat. It's just a matter of getting the medication in there as fast as you can, and it treats it very, very well. But you need to know what to look for. So if you're seeing the fish looking uncomfortable in the water and flicking themselves around, then I need to know about it ASAP, and we need to treat them for white spot so it isn't actually a problem. Because white spot is very easy to treat if you know what to look for, and then if you put in the medication. This fella's a kisser, and he'll like literally run around like kissing the rocks and things, and he helps to clean the place as well.
Yeah, I saw
And then these fellas are peacocks. There's a few different types of peacocks in here. So now we've got some silver sharks, which are these fellas here. That's a silver shark. Now we've got a pair of bristlenose. The male is the one with the bristles on the front, and the female does not have bristles. During the day, these fish tend to go missing, and at night they tend to be more active. This one here is a Pictus catfish. It's a good scavenger. There goes a peacock. This one here is a lay loopy, enjoying that little hole there. With the silver dollars, the ones with the little red underneath is the female, and the big rounder orange anal fin is the male. This one here is an electric yellow. This fella here, so there's an electric blue, that one. And there's an ACI in here as well. That's the blue one with the yellow fins that just went missing. So there's the female bristlenose. There goes the clown loach. There's the ACI there, that one. Then over time, as the plants start looking a bit crappy, I can take them out, put them in the sun, and the sun will bleach them back up so they look good as new. And once the plants go over there, you won't see this side. Okay, so what we've got going on here, we've just tested the water, and we're very happy with the water. We've got a grabber. These things are the best thing you'll ever get, especially for cleaning your house. But they're also really good for a fish tank like this, because if something happens at the bottom of the tank, you literally can't reach it. So we can use the grabber for grabbing out a plant that maybe fell over. Or if you ever see a dead fish in the tank, it's really important that you get the dead fish out as fast as you can, because that dead fish can actually pollute the aquarium, and that's not so great. The silver dollar is a beautiful schooling fish. I've just got to hope this Venustus doesn't give them too much of a hard time. But he seems okay at this stage. Now what we've got in our little bag of goodies is we've got some water ager. Now the water ager needs to go in whenever new water goes in the aquarium, and also you can use it to detoxify if you get ammonia or nitrite in the water. There's a clown loach. Then you can put a teaspoon of this in and that'll detoxify it. Now we've also got, and this one will raise the GH. It'll raise the GH and add your mineral salts. We use that for a water change. Then we've got some KH. Right now the KH is on the low side, which I want it to be. But in the long run, we generally run a higher KH. So later on, we might add some more of this. Now, our enemy right now is food. Because it's a new tank and there's not good bacteria in here yet. The first most important thing is good surface agitation and good oxygen. We've definitely got that going. And the water flow is very nice in here. But as long as there's plenty of oxygen, now that there's fish to produce waste, then we need bacteria to grow. So what we don't want to do is go feeding too much, because too much food will mean too much waste will build up in the water, and that actually can kill the fish. That'll be in the form of ammonia and nitrite. So in a new tank, we hardly want to feed at all. So no food at all for the first couple of days. And then after that, we put a tiny, tiny little bit in. So this one's called Probiotics by New Life Spectrum. This is about the cleanest food you can get. So if you just put a tiny amount of this in, then the probiotic bacteria that's in this food means that when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo. So this is number one favorite food for clean tanks. So while the tank is new, I'd be feeding mainly this one. But I also like to mix it with this one, because this one, I believe, is the number one quality food. So it's the most amazing food for the color and the absolute vitality of the fish. So this combination is my absolute favorite. Now we've given a baby pellet, which is a really small flake, and then we've given a medium pellet, a really small pellet, and then we've also given a medium pellet, which is a slightly larger pellet. So this combination will mean that the fish get a nice chance to get the food. And now we have to be watching the bellies of the fish, because if the bellies get too thin, then whatever we're doing, we need to feed more. And if the bellies get too fat, then whatever we're doing, we need to feed less. But so the fish seem to be settling in very, very well. The tank is looking super awesome. So now, as long as the fish are not overfed, then we're in business. The next thing that's going to happen over time is you're going to notice the water go down. And don't freak out and think the tank's leaking, because evaporation is amazing. It's very common for new fish keepers to be shocked how much water can evaporate. So all in all, it pretty much couldn't be going better. So awesome to watch. The other thing that's really important is that the filters need to be agitating the surface, because what will happen in this tank is that the filters will suck all the oxygen out of the water. So when it pumps water back in, it's really important it agitates, because that agitation helps to re-oxygenate the water back, the oxygen back into the water that the filter actually takes out itself. There's just so much to look at. So the loaches are playing down here with the convicts. The electric blue is sussing the place out. The Venustus seems to be playing with the silver dollars quite nicely. Peacocks are running around the bottom. And when you peer into these caves, you notice, so there's the lay loopy. There's one of the catfish. It's looking unreal. So this aquarium is in the middle of a shopping centre, and it's important not to have fish that freak out when kids tap on the glass. So this aquarium here is predominantly full of cichlids, and they sort of get used to it. So as much as you should try to encourage people to tap on the glass, you also don't have to sort of freak out too much, because cichlids are a very hardy, very interactive fish. Sometimes you can almost tap on the glass of a cichlid tank and they will come over thinking it's feeding time. So you don't have to stress out about it, but it is important to monitor the behavior of the fish. If something happens and a fish goes and breathes, you see them breathing really heavily after the event, that means that the event sort of has stressed it out. But if they just sort of buzz off and then just carry on as normal and don't stress out breathing heavily, then that event probably wasn't as stressful as maybe you thought it was. Because some fish are better than others when it comes to getting the glass tapped. Sometimes I almost think the cichlids like it. So now that we've added some fish to this aquarium, we have to wait a few weeks before adding new fish, because we have to wait for the good bacteria to grow in the filter, and then the bacteria that grows in the filter will then allow us to put more fish in. So we're basically we've added some fish, then we wait a few weeks, then we test the water. If the water's okay, we add a little bit more fish. We can't add too many fish at once, otherwise we'll not have enough good bacteria, and then the waste levels will build up and can actually kill the fish. So it's got to be a couple of weeks before new fish go in. And water must be tested before new fish go in.